Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining tonight. So let's talk about stats. So right now in the present, the number of sales going up or down, are sale prices going up or down? So both. The number of sales in 2023 year to date, so January 1 to November 1, we've had 268 sales of real property. In 2022 year to date, January to November 1, we had 355. So we definitely see a lower number of sales taking place. Now, the prices year to date to November 1st in 2023 have gone up 7.3% from the same time last year. This is a chart we've been using for 23 years. And this goes over the sale prices, the average sale price in town, the number of sales, days on the market, and the percentage of increase or decrease for each year since 2000. So we're looking from 2000 to 2023. And you can see the average sale price increases over the years. You can also see there's some years where they've decreased. The last few years are relevant. You can see over the pandemic, we had an increase of 9.8% in 2020, 10.10% in 2022, a whopping 18.8% increase last year. And now this year we had 7.3% increase. So it's still a healthy increase, but certainly not at the same amounts that we're seeing in the most recent years. Annually, if you average this out every year, the real estate market increases by 7.4% in Canmore annually. So we are looking at the current market inventory. So right now in Canmore, we have 140 listings on the market. That is compared to approximately 95 listings at the same time last year. So again, we can see the direction the market is going, which is increased inventory. 25 of those 140 listings are short-term rentals. And this is a large number of short-term rentals to have on the market at any given time. So again, we're seeing this increase in inventory. We have 170 listings if we include all the hamlets outside of Canmore. So that includes Canmore and Dead Man's Flats, Harvey Heights, Exshaw, and Lac des Arcs. The price sold to asking price ratio is 99%. So on average, listings in Canmore have sold for 99% of the asking price in 2023. This is compared to 101% at the same time last year in 2022. So the percentage is down, though we know the the sale price has increased 7.3%. So what this number is, what it means going down is simply there's a larger gap between sellers' expectations and buyers' willingness to pay. What is affecting the market? I'm sure everybody is well aware by now that interest rates is the biggest thing affecting our market right now. So we're quickly going to go over what's been happening with interest rates. The important differentiation right now is the difference between a prime rate and the overnight rate, or the key interest rate. So the overnight rate is set by the Bank of Canada. The prime rate is set by the financial institutions. So every time the Bank of Canada changes their rate, financial institutions will usually raise or lower their prime rate by that amount. So the Bank of Canada's policy interest rate, which is their overnight rate, this is the one that every time you hear in the news, they say the Bank of Canada is announcing, their policy change and announcing the new interest rate. This is what we're looking at. So you can see, back in 2008, it was just above 4% or so. It came right down to the very low, almost free percentage rates after the financial crisis in 2008. So you're looking at 2009 and 2010, they were very low. Then they increased to 1%. This is almost still free. Then they went back down. And then right around 18 and 19 before the pandemic, they raised, and they're still not even at 2%. During the pandemic, they came right down to these below 1% rates again. And then we started about halfway into 2021, started seeing these increases that really haven't stopped. They have plateaued a couple of times, but we have had 10 interest rate increases since this started started climbing in mid 2021. And the last two announcements have stayed at a overnight rate of 5%. but we don't know that they won't go up or down in the next little while. So this is what everybody's feeling right now. This is affecting the market. So this is the prime rate history. So this is what the financial institutions tend to adjust their rates based on the Bank of Canada's rates. So you can see it followed very similar patterns here. And then, of course, right now we are at a 7.2%, which is significantly higher than the rate where a lot of people had bought their homes at. So what we want to think about is if we have someone coming up for a mortgage renewal on their 5-year mortgage that they bought in 2018 or so at 3.7%, let's say, and they're renewing at 7.2%, this is going to be a significant difference in their mortgage payment. This might be unsustainable for some owners here in Canmore and everywhere else across the country and many other places in the world. But in Canada, where we've had so many interest rate hikes, we might expect to see that we are going to have quite a number of owners who might just decide to sell instead of renewing at that really high. Well, it's not a really high interest rate, but it's much higher. It's double than what they had locked in at. So we've already started seeing that increase in inventory and a slowing down in the appreciation of the sale prices. When we start seeing more and more of these renewals happening at these higher rates, I think we're going to start to see more inventory. So more inventory does lead to downward pressure on pricing. Do we think this is going to last for a very long time? Probably not. We have the renewals happening on a regular basis, but we are hoping that the increases in interest rates don't continue and we'll start to see a downward trend in the future, which will make it a little easier for people renewing in 2024, 2025, 2026, and maybe more likely to be able to hold onto their property. For the ones that don't, it'll allow an opportunity for people who might not have been able to get into the market earlier. Maybe there's going to be more opportunity for those buyers. So that is what we're expecting in the next couple of years. Here's another chart that shows the 5-year fixed mortgage rate, and over the years starting in 2007, dipping there during the pandemic, and it being higher now than it has been since before 2007. The variable mortgage rates, it goes higher. It will fluctuate more than the 5-year will. Though it's going up quite a bit, it will probably also correct more than the 5-year fixed rate. So if you have a variable, you just have to have a little more flexibility to absorb the changes in the market. I know this is a question that many of us have. Is the tourist home zoning in Canmore at risk? Maybe. The more accurate answer there is probably. We're going to start with the recent BC legislation on short-term rentals. This has just come into effect, and I'm sure you've heard of it. So the BC provincial government has put in new rules that restrict short-term rentals in all residential areas in all jurisdictions of BC over 10,000 people. So any population below that or municipality below that, it is not affected by this legislation. Any resort town, so there's 14 towns in BC that are designated as municipal resorts, resort municipalities, and they are also exempt from these rules. Everywhere else, so that includes places that are highly tourist oriented, like Kelowna and Vernon and that type of area. There is now short-term rentals are limited to only the host's principal residence or a secondary suite or accessory dwelling on that principal resident property. So basically, you can't get an Airbnb in these areas unless it's at the host's home. this is going to have a huge effect on many, many Canadians and their investment. And this was done very quickly, very broadly, with very little public consultation. The reason why I mention this is because we have precedent for government to make big, sweeping legislative changes that seriously affect people's real property in Canada. And if we're seeing that in one jurisdiction, the question is, can we see it in another? Some exemptions to the new rules. Hotels and motels are exempt, and they say future regulations are being drafted to exempt additional types of properties which are not the intended target of the proposed act. So our question is, and it's not answered yet because I don't think they've made the rules yet. We are unsure if properties zoned for short-term rentals will be exempt or not. And that's actually a really important bit of information that we are waiting on, and it'll be quite relevant. What is happening with Canmore is that the town has decided that tourist home, and I'm going to quickly backstep here. We have two types of designated uses in town that allow short-term rentals. One is called visitor accommodation. Those allow short-term rentals and not full-time living. The intention is they are visitor accommodation for visitors to Canmore to have a place to stay. Tourist home also allows short-term rentals, but tourist homes are also allow full-time living. And that's a unique zoning. So what they're talking about when they're talking about the tourist home zoning is not the visitor accommodation. So if it's visitor accommodation and you can't live in it full time, this new regulation the town is talking about will not affect them. It's only the tourist homes. Now, it's important to recognize that for the short-term rentals, whether it's visitor accommodation or tourist home, they're all in, sorry about the lighting here, guys. They're all in basically the valley floor of Canmore, where it's commercial. That was done by design. The intention is that these short-term rentals will basically be in areas that are have commercial around them, that are usually fairly easy to walk to other businesses, etc. So the town has decided that we need more housing, which is true. We desperately need more housing. There's not enough to fulfill the demand here. So they decided they could add new inventory to the full-time housing market by eliminating the short-term option from tourist home designation. This is not a done deal by any means. This is just something that has been suggested. Having said that, they have put together a task force, and this task force is designed to look at this issue. So the purpose of this task force is to engage stakeholders in advancing the following objectives of the Housing Action Plan as approved by Council in 3 phases. The first item on their mandate is to develop a plan to phase out tourist home designation. This does not say to determine if this is a good idea. This does not say to determine the pros and cons of this plan of action. This says the plan of the task force is or the point of the task force is to develop a plan to phase out tourist home designation. And then under that phase 1, the first item that they're to do is to review the definition of tourist home, to confirm the rationale for phasing out tourist home. Again, it's not to decide if the rationale is wise, it's to confirm the rationale of phasing out tourist homes. And then they talk about other things, consider the market for tourist home supply and demand, review experiences and approaches to tourist homes and visitor accommodation in other Canadian jurisdiction. This is why this new BC regulation that just came out is very relevant here, and whether this will apply to, in BC, the question of whether it will apply to areas that are legally zoned to allow short-term rentals, or if they will be exempt, will be very relevant in this task force mandate. So just quickly, I wanted you to see this when they had talked about developing a plan to phase out the tourist home designation. This is the purpose of this task force, one of the purposes. And this is where we are talking about how this plan is to be decided upon, and these are the items to review the definition of a tourist home, confirm the rationale for phasing out tourist homes, review experiences and approaches to tourist homes in other Canadian jurisdictions. So that's why I'm saying that it's super important that we know what the deal is with this new BC regulation, and whether they will be exempting places that are already legally zoned to rent out short-term. Can the town legally do this? We don't know. Is it likely to be unchallenged? Should they go ahead and do this? Of course not. It will very, very likely be challenged by many, many residents in Canmore who own these and bought them with the understanding that they're legally allowed to operate it as a short-term rental. Now, some of the chatter that the town had been talking about and how they potentially foresee this happening is that they would potentially allow owners who are already renting out short-term in their tourist zone, the ones that are legally allowed to rent out short-term, or you can live in it. The intention is maybe they can keep allowing the grandfathered properties to rent out short-term as long as they continue to do so at least once every 6 months. But then when they go to sell, they would lose that grandfathered right. And this is very concerning to owners, of course, of tourist homes, because there's quite a premium on tourist homes. And they bought at a premium because it was a tourist home, and they'd expect to sell at that same premium. And there's no guarantee with this plan that that could happen. We simply need to wait to see what this task force comes up with, see what the town plans to do. So we are very quickly going to go over the 3 resorts that still have new developments to take place. So Three Sisters Mountain Village, we have Silvertip Golf Resort and Spring Creek Mountain Village. We have an update on Three Sisters Mountain Village. So a quick background for anyone who's not fully familiar with this. Three Sisters Mountain Village owns 80% of the remaining developable land in town. And they have been working for many years to create area structure plans that would be suitable for the town to approve. The lands are already, it's already been determined they're allowed to develop them. The area structure plan was an indication of how they would be developed. And the town had declined the area structure plan initially several years ago. Three Sisters went back to the drawing board and developed new ones, taking into consideration everything the town said they wanted to see. They presented these to the town, and then again, they had declined the area structure plan. So Three Sisters had sued the town, basically under the understanding that they were illegally blocking them from going forward with these developments that they're allowed to develop. It went to the Land Tribunal here in Alberta, and the Land Tribunal ruled that Three Sisters are within the rights to do the development that was in their area structure plan, and the town of Canmore was to approve them. And then the town appealed this, took this to court, and then the recent court ruling was again the same. Three Sisters has the right to go forward with this development, and the town is to approve these area structure plans. So that's the background. So now that we've had the appeal court rule saying, yes, town of Canmore, you have to approve these area structure plans, what does that mean? Basically, it means that the town and Three Sisters have agreed that there's no further appeals from the town of Canmore. That the 2 Three Sisters area structure plans are to be approved by council. And then the most recent update, both area structure plans submitted have been approved by the town council now on October 24th, 2023. This is I wonder if I can make this bigger. maybe not. This is an overview of the lands in Three Sisters. So Three Sisters Village is one of the area structure plans. It's not developed. So this is not developed yet. But we do have these this orange and blue and green and purple areas that are developed now. And this is Smith Creek. So it is going all the way from the existing development on the east side of Canmore all the way out to Deadman's Flats on the south side of the highway. So this is the Smith Creek Area Structure Plan, and this is the Three Sisters Village Area Structure Plan. So this is up sort of across from Karen's on the Bow on Three Sisters Parkway, below Peaks of Grassy and Quarry Pines up here. So the intention of this is that it will be started much later, and this is to be a sort of a resort village, and it will be, you know, to attract visitors and tourists, and it will have lots of housing as well, but it is to be a sort of tourist center. Smith Creek is all residential. It was some commercial. And this is going to be where the majority of the remaining housing in Canmore will come. And it's a really important development. And so now we can expect to see this coming up in the next few years. So what are the next steps in the development? So Three Sisters is to submit the additional conceptual schemes and land use amendments to the town. Village Phase 1 has already been submitted. Smith Creek Phase 1 will be submitted within the next 3 weeks. So how much affordable housing will be built? In Smith Creek, which is the residential area we had showed you there, 33% of it will. When will construction begin on Smith Creek? So that's the residential area being built. And servicing and grading for the development is anticipated to begin 2025. So the Gateway is another development in Three Sisters that's already underway. So this was not part of the lawsuits, not part of any of the disputes and debates. This is already approved, and it's a development that people up in Three Sisters are really eagerly anticipating. This is the interchange into Three Sisters. So right here at the interchange is where the Gateway is going to be, at this the top corner of this purple little blob here. So in Gateway, we have quite a contingent of commercial going in. So we have a big box grocery store going in. There's going to be restaurants, coffee shops, a gas station, drive-in or drive-through businesses. There will be shops and a brewery, distillery, and pubs. So everybody's really excited about that. Part of the attraction is that Three Sisters is quite a big part of Canmore, and we have very little commercial that we can walk to, and people really like being able to walk or bike to get their groceries or go to the coffee shop or go out for a meal. So it's, you know, after a bike ride and you want to go and you know, have a beer at the pub with your friends, it's really nice being able to not have to get the car out to go to live, you know, your life. So this is very much anticipated. And to anyone who's interested, these are the actual area structure plans. There is an enormous amount of information in these for both Smith Creek and the Three Sisters Mountain Village. Surprisingly, it's a good read. So if you want these, we could send them out to you as well. Silvertip is interesting because it has hadn't had any new real estate offerings for 15 years. They've had the land, they have the plan, but it just never really moved forward for quite some time. So they have released now a new development called Mountain Tranquility at Silvertip. They have new lots and homes available. So single family home lots, half duplex home lots, and villas. This is the overview of the site map. So we have, you can see, now don't quote me on this being accurate in regards to what's sold and what is currently for sale. But I can get you that information if you're interested. So we do have single family home lots on the outside of this. You can see that is located in the golf course. So there are currently residential homes over on this side, single family homes, and then the golf course, and then there's this new development going in here. The interior are half duplex lots, and all of these are going to be villas. So the half duplex lots, you can buy your own half duplex lot and build a duplex. With these, you're actually just buying a particular villa that Rockwood Custom Homes will be developing in this area. So these lots range anywhere from 900,000 up to about 1.6 million. And we don't have, I don't have prices as of right now, but I can get them and I should be getting them tomorrow. So if anybody has interest in a villa up in this area, let me know. We can get you the price list and the availability list. And if you have interest in single family home lots or these half duplex lots, the same thing, let us know. This is something that is really relevant, especially considering what we were just discussing. This entire community is zoned for tourist homes. So everyone in here, you can live in it full time, you can rent it out short term. That is what the land use bylaws say right now. In the meantime, if you have interest in tourist homes or in new homes up in Silvertip, let us know. Here's just some renderings of some of the villas that will be built. And then Spring Creek Mountain Village. So we have some new developments here. Spring Creek is just a little, probably more than half built now. They have some pre-sales available for Black Swift Lodge, which is a residential building going up. They will be releasing a new development, Mountain Links Lodge, in soon. And then they still have some Creekside townhomes that will be available soon as well. If you have any interest in any of these in Spring Creek, again, please let us know. We can make sure you get on that waiting list. And Spring Creek, most people are familiar with it. It really has a great community feel. People who live there really love the neighborhood. So this is something new that they're introducing, and it's not new, it's always been here, but they have labeled it now the Beat. And the Beat is a landing place for visitors entering the community. So what is really cool is that they have this gathering place. They have this pond with fountains. It also doubles as a skating rink in the winter. Having a gathering place in a community is not something that we've really focused on in North America, and bringing that back, that village square, that village center, it's a really nice addition to a community. Some new businesses in Spring Creek. They have the Alder Cafe and Grocery Store, the Bridget Bar. Both of these are well worth checking out. And then, of course, Spring Creek in their village center, we have local shopping, dining, arts, culture, wellness, beauty, and event spaces. Sorry, I see someone had asked, so downward pressure on appreciation, but not prices, and that was a question mark. So that was from Rick, and Rick, no, I actually believe we will see some downward pressure on the actual prices. This year we saw downward appreciation on the downward pressure on the appreciation, but we actually think that these mortgage renewals are going to affect the market enough that we will actually see some softening in prices. Not necessarily in all properties, but probably a lot of them. I don't think it's going to be a major correction. So there has been some corrections in prices over the years. So you can see we have this appreciation all the way through. You can see in 03 or 4 or 5, we had like these huge double digit numbers. 06, these are 07. Look at these like double digit numbers. They're crazy. And then we had the financial crisis happen in 08. And then in 09, we had 11.17% decrease in prices. But that's the only major decrease we've had. And given this appreciation, it was probably well justified. There are times where there's been some corrections, but these are not hefty, and they don't last huge lengths of time, a couple of years in a row. We had a little bit in 2019. It's so close, like 2018 and 19, we're almost plateauing there really. And that's because we had like a 14.5% increase in 2017. So we're not seeing major softening in prices that last any length of time or is really scary, other than this one, which was required. Are we expecting actual softening of prices? Yes. Do we think it's going to last very long? No. And do we think it's going to be a major correction? Not really. I'm going to say good night and thanks to everyone for attending and for your input. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.